taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall coast to coast in the biggest way possible right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty. What do we got here? The Prime Minister with me today. Cam Stewart, that's right, all day long with us on C2C. We have a very busy show. It is a Golf Wednesday, so that's fun that Cam's with us the entire way. We'll still give you all of the golf plays with me and him in the second hour like we always do. We got Keith Stewart for Golf Wednesday as well. We have a lot of NBA tonight. We have a couple hockey games too. But since I have Cam here, we're going to do a lot of hockey futures today as well. Lots of college basketball and plenty of NFL news with everybody down in Indy for the Combine. Even had a little Caleb Williams speaking today down there. We kick things off, as always, with the birthday roll call. Let's go. Luka Doncic, 25 today for Luka. Would have been nice if he took a shot in the last 5 minutes of that game that they lost last night to the Cavs. Jeez, Luka, can you score a little bit? 45. I know you had 45. Put a couple buckets in the last 5. Jacob Vrana is 28. Randy Arozarena, 29. Matt Breida, 29. Alex Caruso, 30. JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul in at 35 today. Carlos Dunlap, 35. Aroldis Chapman, 36. Brian Bannister, 43. Tayshaun Prince, 44. Jamal Tinsley, 46. Eric Lindros, 51. Wow, Eric Lindros, 51. Feels like he played 40 years ago. Ken Wisenhunt, 62. And Brian Billick, Super Bowl winning coach from the Ravens, who we love here on Coast to Coast. The big 7-0 for Double B there today. All right, we will kick things off. We'll go through some of the NBA from last night. I was just talking about that Cav-Dallas game that went down to the wire. Strus hitting the beyond half-court shot to win it for the Cavs. Crazy game, 121, 119. We will discuss that. All the other action from last night as well. Thunder beating the Rockets. T-Wolves beat up the Spurs. The Pelicans beating the Knicks. That was a good spot there for the Pelicans with the Knicks all banged up. Brunson didn't play as well. So we end the Heat with both wins on that back-to-back. Sacramento and Portland back-to-back nights. The Blazers stink. They went the whole month of February without a win. They are awful. We do want to, of course, welcome in all of our radio affiliates for Coast to Coast. On a Wednesday, Carver High in for Scotty, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159, Sports Byline, and the mightier 1090 ESPN Radio in sunny Southern California. Great to have everybody with us here today. So we'll do plenty of NBA in the first hour. Gabe Morency is with us always in the first hour. We will get his plays for tonight. And there is a good slate of NBA. 6 games for you. The Pelicans, after the win at the Garden, are in Indiana tonight against the Pacers. Dallas also with a back-to-back. They are in Toronto against the Raptors. I wonder how the pizza party went for the kids after they got their third straight win. Memphis in Minnesota against the T-Wolves. Cleveland into Chicago. Both those teams back-to-back. Sacramento and Denver tonight. A good one with the Joker and Sabonis linking up. And late night, Clippers and the Lakers. Always fun when those two get together at the Staples. It is a Clipper home game tonight, as that is the late night TV game that we will talk about as well. Hour 2, we will start Golf Wednesday here on C2C, and we always get you ready for this week's event, which this week is the Cognizant. That's right, down at PGA National in Palm Beach. Usually the Honda. They have changed the name, of course, as we know. New sponsor with Cognizant coming in, and we will give you all the juice for that. I've actually even got, because Cam's here, I figured, I've even got some other golf stuff going on with the Masters right around the corner. The Live guys have been chirping a lot about not being in it. Taylor Gooch saying that Rory will have an asterisk if he completes the Grand Slam. We've got a little Rory responding to that. Anthony Kim, who hasn't played competitive golf in 11 years, is back this weekend. He's playing at the Live event in Saudi Arabia. He's sitting at $150 to 1 right now. So we'll discuss that. Then me and Cam will give you the outrights, the top 10s, 20s, and 40s, and the first round leader bombs for the Cognizant down at PGA National, which, by the way, is, I think Haro's Guest House is like right off one of those tee boxes on the back nine. You get right over there, and you could probably see when these guys are teeing off this week. A little glimpse at the Haro Guest House right over there. Coach Young will be with us for the Lion's Share in hour number 2. As always, he's got NBA plays tonight. Davis Maddock is always with us in hour number 2 as well. I gave him an assignment yesterday. I said I want a live pick for Saudi Arabia this week, and it looks like Davis has come through for us in a big way. Final hour will really get you set up for tonight. Plenty of college basketball. There's a few things from last night I want to talk to Cam about. One, the Kentucky-Mississippi State game was outstanding. Monster comeback from Kentucky down the stretch. They get the job done there. I had to sweat that Cincinnati under 59.5 team total. I couldn't believe it. They only scored 18 points in the first half. I had to hang on for dear life. They scored 41 points in the second. I got it by the hook with that. And BYU beating Kansas. Kansas just not the same this year. Not a team that I am looking to back a couple of weeks from now as we finally get into the big tournament. They just don't. I know they were missing guys last night, but still, Kansas as a whole this year, not the typical team that I would feel confident about, whether we're talking about getting some outrights for the tourney, filling out brackets, whatever it is. Huge slate tonight. Missouri's at Florida. Auburn and Tennessee is the game of the night in the SEC. Providence getting a nice number at Marquette tonight. Louisville is at Duke. Duke's laying a monster number around 20. You've also got Oklahoma at Iowa State. You got South Carolina at Texas A&M, St. John's and Butler. Loser of that game is probably completely finished. Minnesota's at Illinois, and Bama visiting Ole Miss with a very healthy total in that game. That's touching almost near the 170 mark. Final hour, we'll also have Keith Stewart read the line. He's with us every week. That will finish off our Golf Wednesdays here on C2C. We'll get his outrights, his placements, and some head-to-heads from him. Hockey for tonight. Nice job by Vegas last night in Toronto against the Leafs, the 6-2 win. It was actually scoreless halfway through the game. It was like 10 minutes left in the second period. Nobody had scored. A nice live over 3.5, and they end up scoring 8 goals for you, so that was a good spot. Wings have been crushing teams lately. 8-3 win over the Caps. Colorado with the win over Dallas. The Penguins beat the Canucks in overtime. And the Sharks scored the first and the last goal of the game against the Devils last night. The problem for them was they let up 7 goals in between all of that. That's not the way to win, that's for sure. I've got odds for the East and the West in the NHL, best and the worst money line teams in the NHL, and the best over and unders so far. Only 2 games tonight. Rangers looking for a little revenge over Columbus, who snapped their winning streak the other day. Lots of news and notes from the Combine as well. Caleb Williams says he'll be excited if he's drafted by the Bears. He'll also be excited if he's drafted by anyone else. Well, I sure hope so. You're going to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. You should be excited. I don't care what hat they hand you when you go up there to Roger. The Chiefs are going to cut Marquez Valdez-Scantling. It's going to save him $12 million. Looks like they're going to use the tag on L'Jarius Sneed, so a lot looking there. And the Jets are going to let Zach Wilson look for a trade. Well, how nice of them. How nice. They're going to let Zach just release the guy and let him go on with his life. There you go. We got a lot to do. Just getting started. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High for Scotty. Cam joins me next. SportsGrid Radio. We get it going after this.
I think you try to trade Mikal Bridges. I think he's someone that is a 3-and-D guy, can score, and his game is elevated since leaving Phoenix, even though his game has maybe regressed a little bit from last year. At the number 2 option, Mikal Bridges can fetch you, I would say, at least 3 first-round draft picks. If you're not going to contend with Mikal Bridges, do him right, trade him, do a full rebuild.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It felt during the year that there was a little bit of disconnect with Wilks and Kyle Shanahan.
The total points allowed by Steve Wilks' defense the last 3 years before this, head coach for the Cardinals, they gave up the 26th most points, defensive coordinator for the Browns, 20th most points, and then Carolina, they gave up the 19th most points.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Oh, what's up? You watching the game? Or maybe the one later? Put a little BetMGM action on it, and now any game becomes the game. When you got overs and unders, you're in it every time they throw the ball, kick the ball, dribble the ball. Maybe it's not even a ball.
Who needs a ball?
Now that bet's got you watching every inning, half, round, period, set, hole, a lap. Right from the edge of your seat. Hit them with the promo.
And we are back. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty. Great to have everybody with us here today. BetMGM is doing it again. It's amazing that they keep doing it, but they're giving away free money. Yes, that is right. All you got to do is place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through their mobile app for at least $5, and you'll receive $150 instantly in additional winnings. Doesn't matter what the wager's outcome is. You got to download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $5 into your newly created account. This is for new customers here. Place a wager in the amount of at least $5 at standard odds price. Once you have placed a bet, you will receive $150 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your wager. Please use bonus code SG150. That is SG150. BetMGM, they're doing it again, giving away free money. We love that on Coast to Coast. All right, usually you get me and Lisi on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Joe's out on assignment today. He is going to be with me tonight. Carver and Lisi, 8 p.m. East, SportsGrid Radio. So you will get a little bit of me and Joe today. But look what I got instead. What a treat. It is Golf Wednesdays, as we know. It's always Golf Wednesdays on C2C. And the Prime Minister, Cam Stewart, is always with me to talk about this week's golf. But now, today, I get him for the whole show. I got Cam with me all day long.
Carver,
I love Cam Stewart here. Hi, Cam.
You know I want Billy Horschel. He's my guy. I love Joe Lisi out on assignment. Yeah, can't wait, Carver. Big golf day, big tournament this week. We got everything tonight. Only 2 games on the ice, but who cares? We got enough sports.
Well, there's only 2 games on the ice, Cam, but because you're in the saddle with me today, I had to go and get some hockey future stuff for later on. So later on, we will do some hockey futures because we're almost. I mean, the trade deadline, why don't you just make it the day before the playoffs start, the trade deadline in the NHL, honestly. There's 20 games left. Let's go. Cam, is it next Friday, I think? Is it the 7th or the 8th, I think, is when the NHL trade deadline is? They I don't know if it's good or bad, but they are so much later than everyone else in terms of how far into their season that they allow it. But, God, Cam, let's get there already.
It's crazy. That's the thing, Carver. Like, here it's like a national holiday. These guys start, it's like a 24-hour show. It's like new. It's crazy, man. Like, these guys go at 8 o'clock. They go all day. The problem, you said it, though, is gone are the days where you'd have those blockbuster deals. It's a lot of minor league contracts, and these guys are sitting there all day. People are like, who the hell's that guy? You know what I mean? So it's interesting. A lot of teams are still involved, so it should be very, very interesting. We'll see if Getzel's on the move. He's the big guy everyone's talking about right now.
It is March 8th, by the way. I did double check, which is next Friday.
Nice.
And by then, teams are going to have like less than 20 games to go. So teams are going to play like 80% of their schedule before you get to the trade deadline. But it keeps things spicy, Cam, that's for sure. So we'll do some hockey later on. We're going to do a ton of golf today as well between the Cognizant and we have Live in Saudi Arabia this week. We have Live golfers chirping all over the place. We have Anthony Kim back for the first time. Crawls out of his hole for the first time in 11 years. So we have plenty to discuss later on. But let's start with the hoops, Cam, because we do have a bunch of games tonight in the NBA. Before I get there, a few things from last night, including this crazy finish in the Cavalier-Maverick game, which was absolutely wild. Luka had a huge night. He had 45. Kyrie had 30. Mitchell had 31. But Mavs up, where were they? They were down 1 here, Cam, with the ball. So Mavs down 1, seconds ticking off. They take the lead, but they can't hold it. Max Strus, Cam, on Cavs radio getting involved.
Kleba to inbound, just to the left of the Cavs bench.
All we need is a deflection.
Pass deflected by Mobley, but grabbed by Doncic. Doncic bounced underneath the PJ, and he laid it in with 2.6 to go. Cavs out of timeout. Strus into Mobley. Back to Max. Half-court shot. Good! Good!
Oh!
Cavs win! This place is going crazy!
That's and that was a fun finish, Cam, and I know you saw it. I mean, it was beyond half court. It was about a 60-footer that Strus hit. He was kind of like flying forwards with the ball as he was throwing it. Awesome moment. Just unlucky for Dallas, who honestly, Cam, I mean, they melted in the last 2 minutes. They had the lead in that game, and they had to wrap it up, and they just couldn't make it happen.
Me and Scott were talking, Carver, when you were at the water park with the kids. Like, Dallas might be a nice underdog here because, you know, Minnesota's going to gag and stuff. That's a tough loss. You're right. They got to close the door, but it helped me. I got Cleveland live, buddy. So all I care about is winners because I got pumped in hockey last night. So go winners.
Oh, we love winners, Cam. That's for sure. Warriors beat the Wizards 123-112. That was a live winner for me, Cam, because Curry had no threes at the half. He had no three. He was 0 for 6 from 3 at halftime. The live number was over 2.5. He had 4 in the second half. So we cashed that, Cam, at the window live with the NBA last night. The Magic beat the Nets. You had the Celtics beating the Sixers 117-99. We talked a lot about this Pelican-Knick game yesterday, Cam, and I just couldn't see any way that the Knicks, without all those guys, and then you even throw on top of it that Brunson didn't play and Hartenstein didn't play, and sure enough, they just couldn't hold on, and the Pelicans muscled them around 115-92.
Under our dangerous team, Carver. You're right, though. It's not really a judgment of the Knicks. With all those guys out, you're not going to get the same type of defense. And actually holding them to 112 with those guys out, pretty good. But I'll tell you, OKC, a dangerous team. Young, but very, very solid.
No doubt. Pistons did beat the Bulls. So the Pistons bounced back after getting screwed in New York the night before. And they're able to get themselves a win in Chicago, 105-95. The Thunder beat the Rockets 112-95. Thunder, of course, still at the top of the Western Conference. But one of the highlights of the night, non-half-court shot game winners, was probably this alley-oop reverse dunk by Chet Holmgren in this game. This was ridiculous on TNT.
And that's what he's been able to do with the veteran leadership that they've brought in. Oh, my
Holmgren on the reverse rack attack.
Man, how about the pass and then the presence by Holmgren to take that catch and the contact? That is impressive.
Are you, Cam, are you a believer yet with the Thunder? Are you ready to buy in? Do you think that they can beat, the Denvers or the Clippers or the Suns in the playoffs? Are you a believer?
I think they can. I think they can go all the way to the conference finals, but beating Denver, that's going to be a tough thing. I know Golden State is a nice price, and they're starting to come together a little bit, Carver, but I do believe in this team. I believe in Chet. I believe in all their young talent. We know in Canada with SGA, this is a very good team. And you know what? Sometimes when you're a young team, you just got to say, who cares about it? In the NBA, it's tough. You could do it in other sports, but this is one team I think that can do it. I love this OKC team, Carver. They're a fun team to watch. I'd love to see them go deep.
It would be fun. A lot of young guys, they seem to just play. They don't care about any of this stuff, and it would be interesting to see them match up in the playoffs with these other squads. And the Heat beat the Blazers 106-96. So the Heat, who basically had nobody the night before in Sacramento, end up getting a win, and then they come back. They get Butler back last night. They get Rozier back last night, and they take both legs of the back and back. This is dangerous, Cam. I'm telling you. The Heat team, they're doing what they always do. Calendar's going to flip to March, and they start playing really good basketball, and then they end up winning a play-in game, and that's the last team you want to face in the first round of the Eastern Conference in the NBA is when you see Miami on the other side. All right, Ferrall Coast to Coast will come back. Morency's here every day. He's here next. We'll get Cam back in a little bit to go through tonight's games in the NBA. Back on the grid after this.
It's rare in this day and age of the NBA to, miss one player and have the wheels fall off.
They're kind of hanging on to one of those final play-in tournament positions in the Eastern Conference. And there are teams like the Nets and the Bulls and the Raptors who are right in that same vicinity, who now they're looking and saying, well, if the Hawks are without a player like Trae Young, and we talk about how important he is, averaging over 26 points.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just watched the final seconds of Illinois and Penn State, and by Dave's reaction, you think you know what happened there. How about that, Dave? How about that?
We're off the rundown. Sorry. Storm the court. You beat the 12th team in the country. That's fine. Second best in the Big Ten. That's fine. We are Penn State. Look at the crew jumping. This is so much fun.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back. Ferrall, coast to coast on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty, SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us. Gabe Morency is with us every day here on C2C. Sports Rage late night, weeknights, 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid. Gabe, good to see you. As always, we got a lot to do, of course. Plenty of NBA games tonight, only 2 hockey games. But let's start with NFL draft since they're down in Indy. And I guess Gabe caught a look at me and Davis yesterday breaking down J.J. McCarthy. We were kind of going through some of the quarterbacks. And look, I'll just say it like this, Gabe. I'm not excited about him. And maybe it's just because he's not as flashy as some of these other guys. He was a winning player. There's no question about that. But in terms of building a franchise, I don't know if I was a fan of a team, I'd be extremely excited if I used the top 10 pick on J.J. McCarthy. I'll put it to you that way.
Now, listen, it's draft season. It's combine week. It's a week of hot takes. Everybody's got something to say, and everybody thinks they know right now. But my day started with me being flabbergasted by somebody on Twitter. They sent me the video of some dude that wants to trade the number 1 pick and the 9th pick of the draft for Josh Allen.
Now,
and somehow thinks that it's a great deal for the Buffalo Bills.
He's a good guy, Ryan. And
he got traction going. That's what it's about.
He got traction. But not in a
he
million
said, who
years.
says no? I'm like, who says no? Like, yeah. The Bills are trading Josh Allen for the first and 9th pick in the.
No.
It's like, okay, man. He's like, well, you know what? He could be better than Josh Allen. I'm like, all right, dude. So that sort of angered me. And then I played the clip last night. I got ambushed, although I was warned right before. Because we play a clip every night from this show, right?
Yeah.
So we play a clip. So I was warned before. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna like this one." And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "What?" They said it's about your boy, JJ McCarthy. I was like, "Oh really?" I was like, "Oh." So I was listening intently. I was just steaming during the whole segment. I told them after. I said, "Hey." I said, save that effing tape, huh? I said, I want Carver and Davis Maddock on record and saving what they said. But it's amazing how polarizing. Listen, we're in a modern era, bro. Everything's polarizing. Everybody's polarizing, right? But J.J. McCarthy, I got to tell you what, Carver, for a kid that went 27-1, right, and just won the national championship, he's not getting a lot of love from the public. But you know who he is getting love from? NFL coaches and general managers. And they're the ones that matter. You don't matter. I don't matter.
No.
The people on Twitter don't matter. You know who matters? People that are employed by NFL teams to make these decisions. Owners matter. So that's what's fascinating about this. But Brady Quinn, your guy, Notre Dame. You're a Notre Dame guy. Brady Quinn had a great point about J.J. McCarthy. He said, it was harder for J.J. McCarthy. He goes, trust me, he's a quarterback. It's a lot easier to drop back. Caleb Williams, bro, played he didn't play in any meaningful games this year. Has Drake May ever played in a meaningful game? Oh, he's a gunslinger. He takes chances. Yeah, you're playing Wake Forest in a meaningless game. Oh, he threw 52 times a game. Good for him. Good. Okay, fine. You know what I mean? J.J. McCarthy's playing against the best teams in the country, right? Kid lost 1 game. And we can go back, Carver. He won a state championship in Illinois, all right, with Nazareth High School. I guess that was a fluke, right? But for the record, they're not some power or anything. They won when he was there, all right? The kid has literally lost 3 games in his life. Now, that doesn't mean he's never going to lose in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence barely lost any games in his life. And, you know, we've seen this stat before where guys are dominant in their careers. But Okay. People say, well, he was on Michigan. All right, Carver, you've watched college football. Did Michigan ever win before him? Like they suddenly, was it a coincidence? Okay, no, he's a game. The other one we hear, he's small. He's 6'3". He's 6'3", 202 pounds right now. I don't know when he's going to step onto the scale. I hear he's going to get up to 210. For the record, everybody, Joe Burrow is 6'3", 215. I guess JJ's too small. He just turned 21 a couple of weeks ago. All right, let's get into his numbers right now. We can get into yards and blah, blah, and all this stuff. No, let's go with QBR. QBR, college QBR ratings. Number 1 in the country, Jaden Daniels, 95.7. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels isn't an explosive, great quarterback. I think J.J. McCarthy's more, they're different, but Jaden. Number 2, Carver, was Bo Nix, had a 91 rating. J.J. McCarthy, number 3, 89.2. Here's Dylan Gabriel. It's funny because I thought Dylan Gabriel put up a ton of numbers last year, didn't he? Well, his quarterback rating was less than J.J. McCarthy at 87.3. To put in context, Jaden Milroe was 9th in the country at 83.6. Penix is 10th, 83.4. Caleb Williams, 82.3. There's Drake May below Jordan Travis of FSU, Carver. Down there at 14 with his QBR rating. So let's see how this plays out. You don't know, I don't know. Drafts are like trades, bro. We'll judge in 3 years, Carver. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah.
But don't sleep on J.J. McCarthy. I'm telling you, the kid is going to be a winner in the NFL. He needs to land in the right situation. You put him on the New England Patriots with nothing, he's going to be screwed. He'll look like Mac Jones. You drop this kid on the Minnesota Vikings with Justin Jefferson, with Jordan Addison, and with the tight end that they've got, and you know what I mean? You put him on the Atlanta Falcons, and you're gonna be a winning team. The kid's a winner. He's going to be a winner in the NFL.
And I think that sometimes that matters more than anything else. You look at all of these drafts from the past 25 years where you had 4 or 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. This year you might get 6, depending on how things drop. Usually not even half of them, Gabe, are good or end up being good or end up being productive.
Baker Mayfield got drafted ahead of Josh Allen.
Right.
Sam Darnold got drafted ahead. How'd that work out?
Allen
Exactly.
and Lamar are the 2 best quarterbacks from that draft. And they went 8th and 30th. And they're the 2 best quarterbacks.
Here's one, Carver. This will blow
Everybody
your
else
mind.
is no good. Yeah.
So I've been talking a lot about Marvin Harrison. And I'm not disrespecting. I think Marvin Harrison's awesome and stuff. But how about this? There's only been 22 wide receivers taken in the top 5 ever of the National Football League draft.
Yep.
Only 3 of them are in the Hall of Fame. None of them won a Super Bowl with the team they were drafted from.
It's true. There's no doubt about it. They'd have a stat like that with the running backs too, right, Gabe? The running backs taken in the top 5.
There's something
top
to
10,
it where it's like, I don't know, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like if you put it for like this: if he's on Minnesota or Atlanta, and there's weapons there already, and there's some system there already, yeah, that helps. You go to a place where new coach, new coordinator, new.
Yeah, but nobody's a savior. Nobody. They're pinning nobody. People said Trevor Lawrence was. It took him years. And even now, he's not whatever. He's middle of the road. Middle of the road. Average quarterback. He's a middle of the road quarterback. Brock Purdy's better than Trevor Lawrence is. Point blank.
He's done a better job than him. There's no doubt. He's been better than him. It just is what it is.
Mr. Relevant, you're the first pick. It doesn't matter in the end, bro. Right? And once you get into the big show, it doesn't matter.
Sometimes you're just a product of your environment, especially when it comes to the NFL draft and where you go. All right, we got a couple minutes left. We got NBA tonight, including a few teams on back-to-backs. That Dallas-Cleveland game was nuts last night. Dallas now has to go north of the border to Toronto, where the Raptors have won 3 games in a row for the first time this year. Hopefully Darko took them out for that big meal now, Gabe, and they're ready to go tonight against the Mavericks.
Earlier in the year, he promised them a dinner at a restaurant of their choice if they could string together a 3-game win streak. They never did. They finally did now. He did pizza because it took too long. I love it. He said, no, there's no restaurant, right? He said, we're going to do pizza. So they ordered pizza. And he said, keep it going and we'll talk about restaurants. I like it. It's funny. And they had fun with it. But all kidding aside, that was an epic game last night. Like super, like unbelievable. It's like March Madness or something. Dallas scores with 2.5 seconds left, going back and forth, and Max Strus is hitting Max Strus hit 4 threes in the last 67 seconds of the game, including the 60-footer. I want to fade both teams tonight. The Chicago Bulls are battling. I know they played as well, but you're getting 6.5 on their home court here tonight. I'm not so sure the Cavs. That was an emotional game last night. But I really like the Raptors tonight. But what really surprises me, Carver, about this is last night I saw the number was 3, overnight number. And I said, man, point blank, there's no way that Luka and Kyrie both play today. Come on. They just played that game last night. It was wild. It's back-to-back. It's Luka's birthday today, so I guess he doesn't want to sit on his birthday. So I put the bet in last night at Raptors +3, convinced that at least one of them wouldn't play tonight. But it looks like they're both playing, and the number's gone up. I'm going to stand my ground here, though. This is the best the Raptors have played. The Raptors actually aren't in, tank mode, the players. They had so many moves, Carver, and stuff. They never really had, a 5 settled. They're settling in now. They've got a unit. They know this is our team. Everybody knows their role right now. They've won 3 in a row. Massive game for them tonight. They think they can play themselves back into the play-in tournament, that they're better than their record says they are. I think they battle tonight. Give me the Raptors plus the points. And last ever, people are making a big deal about this. The Clippers hosting the Lakers for the last time at the Staples and Crypt
at Staples, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
whatever.
Pardon me if I'm not shedding a tear for this.
Yeah.
Listen, no Paul George. This is dangerous. I'm taking the Lakers plus the points. Yes, sir.
I'm taking the Lakers on the money line.
Let's go.
I think the Lakers
LeBron
are
hears all this. He's like, screw you and your building. It's my building. What are you talking about anyways?
Gabe, we'll see you tonight. Sports Rage Late Night, 10 p.m. East, here on the grid.
J.J. McCarthy, Davis.
It's rare in this day and age of the NBA to, miss one player and have the wheels fall off.
They're kind of hanging on to one of those final play-in tournament positions in the Eastern Conference. And there are teams like the Nets and the Bulls and the Raptors who are right in that same vicinity, who now they're looking and saying, well, if the Hawks are without a player like Trae Young, and we talk about how important he is, averaging over 26 points.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watched the final seconds of Illinois and Penn State, and by Dave's reaction, you think you know what happened there. How about that, Dave? How about that?
We're off the rundown. Sorry. Storm the court. You beat the 12th team in the country. That's fine. Second best in the Big Ten. That's fine. We are Penn State. Look at the crew jumping. This is so much fun.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards, we are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we're back. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty. SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us here today. A lot of fun with Gabe. Gabe wasn't happy about that clip of me and Davis talking about J.J. McCarthy. He wasn't happy, Cam.
That's his guy.
Not happy about
You don't talk, mate. What are you talking about Michigan like that, Carver? Show some respect. McCarthy's he's tough. Been there, big games. Big
Came with
games.
all the numbers today.
Yep.
Brought all of it out. As soon as he had the QBR, had wins.
Oh, he's ready to go.
You are rolling the dice with almost all of these guys. There are no more Peyton Mannings. There are no more, like, the sure thing, no doubt about it, 100% layup at quarterback in the NFL draft is gone. It just
great
did.
call,
It hasn't been
Carver.
there for a long time. It just hasn't.
Caleb Williams too. Everyone thinks like there's no luck.
I don't.
Like that's the thing. I saw flaws in some games with Caleb Williams. I'm going to tell you this too. Like I've been right on a lot of stuff and I've been wrong. I thought Ryan Leaf was going to be a great quarterback when I watched him play at Washington State. The guy was amazing in college. Dan McGuire with San Diego State. Like I'm going way back. Like, man, this stuff's, it's very difficult. Some guys can get it and some guys just can't process it in their brain and they get locked, right, Carver? So we can think we know this and that, but Gabe brought up a good point about Penix, though. Sometimes when he gets rushed and stuff, he's an older dude, too. Like, you got to figure it out. Somebody will take a shot on him, but, man, this is very interesting. I personally, I like Daniels from LSU. I think he's a wild
Daniels
card. He's my guy. He's
my number one as well. That's the top guy that I would want if I was here. I would actually want him before Caleb Williams.
I said that too. People think we're crazy. I think he'll be a better pro than Caleb Williams. That's my take. That's your opinion, and we're in the minority, big time.
I saw that maybe your Seahawks would maybe take Penix, keep him up there in the Pacific Northwest.
Got enough problems with Geno. Come on, man. What are you doing to us? With Drew Lock and Geno? I know. I need somebody who's going to come in there and win games, Carver. Like, come on. Yes.
Let's finish off the NBA, of course. We do have 6 games tonight that I'm going to get to. I have to give you a couple of these things first. Now, I know that I've been doing this every day, but it's not changing, so I have to keep going back to it. On Monday, I told Scotty that the unders were 10-0-1 on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, I told Joe the unders were 75% since the All-Star break. Well, guess what, Cam? Last night, the unders were 10-1 again in the NBA. 38-12-1 since the All-Star break. That's 76% to the under. I mean, are we just like guys still, even though it's a week in, are we still in Cabo mode here, Cam? What do you think for this 76% to the under so far since the break?
That's a good call. I don't really know. I don't think there's anything to quantify it. But the bottom line is this. Guys are missing a lot of shots. They're very rusty still. And I'll tell you, Carver, they're setting numbers too high. What are people like? A lot of these games, they're not getting there. Like these Pacer games, 246.5 and stuff. They're falling short. That's the whole thing. And people love betting overs, right? So I got to tell you, I think the books are like, we're not going to get stung. They're putting numbers a little bit too high. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and look, you remember, Cam, I mean, in November and December, I mean, we had nights where half the board was in the 240s. I mean, we had games pushing 250. And now you've seen it just kind of regress back down, and we maybe should be looking at some of these bigger numbers and going the other way with how things have done. One more thing before we get to tonight, and that is the big board, Cam, which I wanted to give you as well since you're here today, where the Celtics are still on top at plus 260. They are the favorites for the title with the Nuggets and the Clippers right behind them. The Bucks are now 7-1. Big gap. Suns are 16. Knicks are 20. There you go with the updated NBA championship odds. I'll tell you, Boston's super impressive, Cam, when you watch them. When they're healthy and they have everybody out there, Tatum, Brown, I think Porzingis has really changed them with how dynamic he is.
Good call.
But are they going to win it all? You know, that's the thing, Cam. Like, something goes wrong every year, and Porzingis is the type of guy, you know, he's made of glass too, Cam. And he's been, and if he's not there, I think they're like this. You know, they're like the Celtic team in the last few years, except they don't have Smart. I think they need Porzingis to stay healthy, and then they're definitely worthy of being the favorites to win this whole thing.
It's not like hockey, Carver, like Florida, Carolina, the Rangers. Like, wait, no.
Yeah.
You know, even the Leafs, you could say, are like value at like 7 or 8 to 1. Like, you know what I mean? Even they'll gag. Boston is coming out of the East. Unless something crazy happens, I would take them in the East. I don't care what the number is. Then you worry about the West because I don't see any. I'd love to take Cleveland, but they're just like Boston is superior to everyone in the East. Milwaukee, no way, man. They just really mess things up there. It's Boston for me. I know the price sucks, but the Celtics are there.
And Milwaukee's now played better out of the break. They've won their last 3. They won the 3 games out of the break, including they destroyed Charlotte last night. But I don't trust them. And then, you know, Lillard, I don't know if you saw that interview with him today, Cam, where Lillard's basically like, I'm bored to death in Milwaukee. He can't. Remember, he spent the whole summer, he wanted to go to Miami. He wanted to do it going to Milwaukee. But obviously the chance of playing with Giannis and potentially winning a title kind of won out there. But he's like, I just go back to my apartment and I just watch
Milwaukee
like, YouTube
tourism,
videos
nothing to do.
Nothing to do in Milwaukee.
You would be good there, Carver. Cheap beer at the tavern in Milwaukee. I can live anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Maybe a little further north, Cam, up to Green Bay.
Yeah.
I'll go up there. Right in that area. Let's get to tonight. We do have 6 games on the schedule. We'll start in Indiana, where the Pelicans and the Pacers get together. So the Pelicans played in New York last night at the Garden. They beat up on the Knicks. Now, Zion's questionable. He's always questionable. You know, they pulled back the minutes last night, Cam, because they were up so much. So he only played 29 minutes. Mm-hmm. He did play both legs of the back-to-back the last time they had one. I think he plays tonight. You might not get – it might be like last night where he's 25 to 30 minutes, but I think you'll get some Zion in the mix here. Pacers are minus 6.5, 237.5. So that right there, Cam, we talked about these unders. Pacers were consistently in the 240s, and now they've knocked this down to 237.5 tonight.
I'm not taking the over. I can tell you that. And I'll tell you, Carver, looking at this, I don't care about Zion. You're giving me 7 points. I know it's a back-to-back with the Pelicans. I don't trust the Pacers to lay numbers like that. It's the dog and the under for me in this one. I like the Pelicans.
And look, the Pelicans have a bunch of guys listed here. You look at these injury reports, we still have hours till the game tips, but Zion questionable, Brandon Ingram questionable, CJ McCollum questionable, Murphy questionable, as a lot of guys. So you do kind of got to wait and see here with New Orleans in terms of who's actually going to show up tonight. Me and Gabe were just talking about this next one. Mm-hmm. Dallas, off the crazy game in Cleveland with the Cavs, now go north of the border to face the Raptors, who have won 3 in a row for the first time all year. They had their pizza party probably with Darko as he was taking all the guys out for winning. Minus 3.5 for the Mavs, 241.5. It is Luka's birthday today, Cam. So he's probable. I would expect. So Luka had 45 last night in Cleveland. Birthday boy, do we go for the 5-0 for Luka tonight, north of the border by you in Toronto?
I would go over in his prop, definitely, Carver. I think that's a good look. As for the point spread, I don't know. It's kind of close to the number. The Raptors have been playing better. Maybe over. That one's very high, but I think it can get there. The Raptors are scoring points, not a lot of defense there. Same with Dallas. So I don't know how you feel about this game, but I think it's going to be very close. The Raptors have kind of figured something out. Maybe I'll take them at plus 3.5 as a home dog. Should be a real tight game.
I kind of like the Raptors tonight, Cam. I'm with you.
So do I.
They're playing a little bit better. That was a very tough game for Dallas last night, and they lost it. Probably got in real late. That's a nice spot with a rested Raptor team at home who's actually playing well. and you're getting a couple of points with them. Let's take the Raptors tonight, Cam. We'll probably throw them in some money line parlay with a hockey and a top 10 at the Cognizant. Also, by the end of the show, we'll put.
Yes, we will.
We'll put them together with something
Eric
like
Cole,
that.
top 10 Raptors.
Eric Cole, top 10 with the Raptors plus 3.5 and the Ranger team
checking out your
total
slip.
Over 4.
Who is this guy? This guy's a psycho.
Get them all together. Memphis is in Minnesota against the Timberwolves. T-Wolves lay in the lumber, minus 12.5. 208 and a half. These Grizzly games have been getting lower and lower as well. Now that's 208, Cam. I know we just gave you that number there with the 76% to the under, but that's real low. We gotta try that one, right?
The Grizzlies they reek though, Carver. Like I don't want to do Minnesota. Like for me, it's Minnesota or nothing. Like you know me, I would like literally dive at getting double-digit points in almost any game. Like even with the Pelicans, with everybody out, I don't care because the guys have to make names for themselves. Man, it's Minnesota or nothing. The Grizzlies reek.
They really do. They are such a bad team. Cavaliers are in Chicago against the Bulls. So both of these teams played last night. Cavs had the big last-second win that we've discussed. The Bulls had a gutless 10-point loss at home to the Pistons. Now they're getting 5.5 at home against Cleveland. 216.5 is the total. I know the Bulls aren't that great either, Cam. But I think, again, this is another spot where the Bulls got to show me a little something tonight after losing to the Pistons. And you get the Cavs off a big win, maybe a little bit of letdown from them on the road. They might win the game, but might be closer than we think. 5.5 for the Bulls, I think I'm in tonight.
Yeah, this is a real good testing spot for Cleveland, Carver, in my opinion. If they win this game by like 8-10 and take care of business on the road, I think it's a really good sign, but they haven't showed enough for me. You're right. I don't like Chicago as a basketball team, but getting 5.5, 6 points at home and for a team that barely won last night, I'm down with your program. I'm looking at home dogs tonight. I might just bet every dog in the NBA but Minnesota.
The Kings are in Denver against the Nuggets here. This could be another one that you play as well. Kings getting 7.5 in Denver. 231.5 to total. Now, Fox is questionable, but it sounds like he's going to go in this game. These two have played. The Kings did beat them earlier this year. Nuggets beat them up the last time they played. Sabonis has had a couple triple-doubles against them this year.
Is it light, Carver? That spread? Is it a little light? Like, what are you thinking? Because Sacramento's a really weird team. Well, like, no, it is.
That's the thing. They go from beating the Clippers on the road. They smash the Clippers in L.A., and then they lose the next night to a Heat team that's like missing half their guys. So they're very tough to figure, Cam. But I've seen them play pretty well against Denver this year, and that's kind of what leans me maybe to taking the 7.5.
I agree with you. I think that number's a little bit like it feels light, and I think a lot of people are going to bet Denver. I'm kind of leaning Sacramento. They're a Jekyll and Hyde team, but these are the type of games they can cover against good teams, then they'll let you down against junk. So that's Sacramento. I'll take the points.
I think that's where I'm going to lean as well. All right, we have one more game, Cam. I'll do it when we come back from the break to finish out the hour, and that, of course, is the Lakers and the Clippers getting together. I believe Gabe was saying before, last Clipper home game against the Lakers at the Crypto/Staples before they move into the new building next year. I'll let you know when we come back who's actually playing, what the numbers are, et cetera, et cetera. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver Hine, Cam Stewart, and for Scotty. We'll come back. SportsGrid Radio. Keep rocking right after this.
It's rare in this day and age of the NBA to, miss one player and have the wheels fall off.
They're kind of hanging on to one of those final play-in tournament positions in the Eastern Conference. And there are teams like the Nets and the Bulls and the Raptors who are right in that same vicinity, who now they're looking and saying, well, if the Hawks are without a player like Trae Young, and we talk about how important he is, averaging over 26 points.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
watched the final seconds of Illinois and Penn State, and by Dave's reaction, you think you know what happened there. How about that, Dave? How about that?
We're off the rundown. Sorry. Storm the court. You beat the 12th team in the country. That's fine. Second best in the Big Ten. That's fine. We are Penn State. Look at the crew jumping. This is so much fun.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back from Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. All right, Cam, one more game in the NBA tonight, and it's probably the game of the night, I would have to say. Whenever the Lakers and the Clippers get together, always lots of eyes. In fact, I believe last time they'll play each other in the Crypto/Staples, Crypto.com arena, with the Clippers as the home team. Since the Clippers are moving into the new Shangri-La next year, the Intuit. Clippers minus 3.5. 234.5 is the total here. I tell you, Cam, I like the Lakers tonight. Give me the 3.5. Give me the money line. Give me the plus 135. I think they're going to beat the Clippers tonight.
I like your style, Carver. Yeah, we'll see. Like this is big, so it's basically a neutral court. You know what I mean? There's no home court advantage here. What do you think of the total at 234? Any opinion?
Over.
I lean over as well.
Oh,
I lean over in this game. This game could go over. Like I'm with you. Look what we're talking about, Carver. Like as I said before, like I'm looking at the board going, I think the Dogs can go 4-2, 5-1 tonight. That's the way I'm doing. I'm letting the Dogs out. Open the kennel, let them run. Let's roll.
This underrun that's been going on for a week, Cam. And I know you're not supposed to play it this way. We're playing, eventually the dam's going to break here. We're going to get some overs. And I feel like maybe tonight could be a little bit of a start of it, whether it's the Laker-Clipper game, maybe the Dallas-Toronto game. I think that we can get ourselves a couple games over the number here and that really low total in Memphis and Minnesota as well. All right, there you go. The night in the NBA. We'll do, of course, some more NBA later on. We got Coach in hour number 2. We got Davis later as well. But it is Golf Wednesday on C2C. Cam's with me all day today. We will start Golf Wednesdays with a few items, and then we'll get to the picks for the Cognizant down in
Yes.
Haro's backyard at PGA National, teeing off tomorrow morning. We're back, Grid, coast to coast, hour number 2, right after this.